We're on the sound.
Commission business meeting. It's 3 p.m. on April 1st. I will have our introductions. What do we got going?
We got that back.
Somebody's got their mic on.
Sorry. Is it that TV? No, you didn't, girl.
She's not on anymore.
Oh.
Just call it.
Are we ready? Give me the high sign when you're ready for us.
Don't check. Oh. I understand.
Delay.
Now we're good.
Okay, thank you. I'm about to open the School Facilities Commission business meeting. It's Wednesday, April 1st, 2026 at 3 p.m. First item I have, we'll introduce the commission of commissioners will introduce themselves and the staff, and then we'll go around the public.
We're gonna do roll call first.
We can do that. Roll call.
Commissioner Conklin,
Present.
Commissioner Ferens,
Present.
Commissioner Kashelhofer,
Present.
Commissioner Thayer,
Here.
Commissioner Thorin,
Present.
Commissioner Van Mark,
Present.
Trent Carroll for Superintendent Dagenfelder,
Here.
and Chairman Tarter.
Here. Now,
Chairman, we have a quorum.
thank you very much. The next item would be the staff, that they introduce themselves.
Okay, Del McComey, I'm director for the State Construction Department.
Shelby Carlson, School Facilities Division Administrator.
And I'm John Rexis, the Construction Management Supervisor.
I'm Travis Hoff, Public Information Officer at the State Construction Department.
Laura Anderson, Operations and Finance Administrator, State Construction Department.
Devin Kenny, Wyoming Attorney General's Office.
Tabitha Wolf, Wyoming Attorney General's Office.
I am Barbara Pace. I am the Executive Assistant to the Director and also the Commission.
Julie Lovato, Project Specialist and Executive Assistant to the School State Building Commission.
Yeah, we just start over there and then go around the room.
Maureen Gaskowski, FEA.
Steve Metter, FBA. Andy Knapp, Executive Director, Support Operations, Laramie 1. Paul Royley, Marshall Grouch Associates.
Karen Moon, Project Manager, School Facilities.
Jeremy Sider, School Facilities Project Manager.
Mitch Johnson, Facilities Director, Commerce One. Ryan Mackey, Superintendent of Commerce One, and just wanted to welcome all of you and thank you for making the trip here. And we've got multiple entities and groups of folks here and being able to tour some of our facilities. And we had our Mercer kickoff Zoom a week or so ago, and today was the first on-site meeting, and we started over at our intermediate school and got to see the upper elementary and the primary school and cruising around. And so we're just excited and blessed for the opportunity and appreciative of the work that you're all doing and working diligently and hard for our schools and our children and our facilities. So from me to you, a warm welcome for our district, and thanks for being here.
Thank you for the tour today, too.
What's that?
Thank you for the tour today.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And the hospitality.
Yeah.
Ann Soloy, Director of Facilities, Sweetwater 1.
Tina Fernandez, Planning Coordinator, State Construction Department.
Steve McDonald, School Facilities Project Manager.
Troy Decker, Facilities Director, Sheridan County Field.
Rob McRae, Facilities Director, Part 1. Kyle Flutie, Facilities Director, Bighorn 2.
Hey, thank you all. Today's kind of a new day for us. Shelley is gonna move on to bigger and better things, and Barbara Pace is gonna be her replacement. And I'd like to, Shelley's been here since 2011. She's attended 143 school facilities commission meetings. She created 145 school facility packets. She's created 61 select committee packets. And been, since 2022, I've attended 28 meetings of which she oversaw, and she's done a superb job. So if we give her a big hand.
Thank you.
And Barbara Pace is the new executive assistant. And I will let everybody know that I was reappointed by the governor and reappointed on the council and as the chairman. Dale, would you like to say anything about Shelley? Shelley, I mean?
Yeah, I would. It's been a pleasure working for her. I came over to the department originally in 2015, and she was there, obviously as the executive assistant. And when you change roles in state government after 35 plus years, you're kind of wondering what you're getting into when you go to a new opportunity. And she was right there to help from day one. So coming back as director, friendly face, helped my decision to come back. And we have great people with the department, and coming back with the folks that I knew made that transition back a lot easier, and just been a stellar performer for us. So I'm going to have Barbara do a little bit of a self-introduction. But again, she's been here about a month or so, and hit the road running. And luckily, Shelley's still with the department, just in a different role, so she's there to help the transition there and make that easy. And so things have been going pretty well so far. So, and with Mr. Chairman, we've talked a little bit about roles in the department and backfilling and succession planning and all that. And the good thing is Shelley has told me that should Barbara ever be off and not able to come, she's more than willing to come back. So.
That's that was the plan all along.
Yeah.
We really haven't put that into play, but I think our new relationship will allow that to make that happen.
Yep. So.
Okay, if you'd like to make any other remarks.
Yeah, just Barbara, do a little bit of what your kind of history and background with state government and kind of what you've done before. So
I was born and raised in Cheyenne. My husband was in the Navy for 20 years. So there was a time that we were not in Cheyenne. When he retired, we moved back home. That was the agreement. And I have worked at the Office of State Lands and Investments. That agency supports the State Loan and Investment Board and the State Board of Land Commissioners. I worked there as the executive assistant for the director. After that, I worked at the Cheyenne Regional Medical Center as an executive director for the president of the medical group. And now I am at the state construction department.
Welcome
And
aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, do you have any other comments today?
yeah, I do, Mr. Chairman. Again, I'd like to thank the district for the opportunity to be here and taking care of us, setting up the meeting rooms. I know that's a lot of extra work for them, but it's always great to be able to come out and tour some of the buildings. And I think kind of opportune time for the commission to look at some of the stuff that was kicked off, as you heard earlier on a Mercer study, for some of their buildings here. So kind of a real time opportunity for you to see kind of how that works and why we're looking at the building that we're looking at there. The other thing, Mr. Chairman, just want to thank you for coming back and being a retread as commissioner and as chairman for putting back in. But I just want to note that we're going to need your help next year, because we have Commissioners Van Mark and Ferens and Coughlin and Thorin, their terms are up next year. So since I'm sure you won't on the background be doing any arm twisting, but we're gonna
Consider it done.
because I think we really have a good commission and we work really well together. So anyway, kind of a side note there, but again, I want to just thank you personally for that. You know, Shelby and I stopped in your hometown coming back from another meeting and twisted your arm for a couple of hours to get you apply again. And the governor and the legislature saw fit to go ahead and do a reappointment. So that's great.
That's
great.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy having all of them with us still. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
And I'd also like to thank Mr. Chairman. I know a number of the commissioners attended today, if not all of it, but part of the meeting with the facility managers. And, you know, that's a long drive for a lot of the folks to come here to that meeting, but I think it's really going to be beneficial and long term with what we do, the work we do, and communications with the districts to get set up, you know, a facility program statewide. And that's really one of those things that I think needs to happen. Doesn't matter whether you're a school district, whether you're a community college, whether you're state building, county, city, as a facility person, you all do the same job. It's just a different name plaque on front of the buildings. And so I think if we can get that going into Wyoming where they can all lean on each other and have support from the state in general to facilitate those programs for everybody, I think the state in general will be better off and will be more efficient at what we do. So again, I appreciate all the managers coming in. We've got the 3 committees starting up here very soon. And again, I thank both chair and vice chair for their, you know, they weren't reluctant in voluntold to serve on the adequacy standards. And that's going to take a little bit of a heavy lift because it's rulemaking and everything in that. And so again, thank both the chair and vice chair for that. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It was nice to see the numbers grow today. I mean, there's more. That was the most I'd seen on one of those meetings. That was really great.
Yeah, we had a good turnout. So
And I think it'll even grow more.
that's
I would like to ask our attorneys to tell us the status of the lawsuit and where we're going from here.
Mr. Chairman, we need to approve the agenda.
Not till they get done.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, as you know, I believe from our last meeting that we did get an order on the Mercer lawsuit. And the judge did find in your favor. So they had an opportunity to appeal. Their time that was available for them to appeal has now expired, and they did not file an appeal. So at this time, that matter is complete, and the commission is free to move forward with that Mercer and implementing the Mercer as it was laid out and approved by the commission.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, I appreciate everyone. Next item is approval of the agenda. I entertain a motion to do so.
I move we approve the agenda has been presented.
Second. Discussion. Since you made a vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. So moved. Next item is a legislative update with Director McComey.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Apologize to those that heard a little bit of this discussion, so you're going to have to listen to it a second time. Brief the facility managers this morning on the outcome of the legislature, but you know, I was very, very pleased with what happened in the legislature this year. We basically got everything we asked for, including a little more at the end of the day when it was all said and done, except with the exception of the one bill. It wasn't on the budget item, but the bill that would have increased major maintenance and some routine maintenance to the districts based on excess square footage calculation, and that being transitioned from the 115% cap right now to 135. But other than that, everything went really, really well through the body. We had a little bit of a time and a debate over the second position. The Joint Appropriations Commission approved right at the beginning of the session, the first position that we had asked for as a backup on the fiscal side of the house for JJ and the AIM database. They elected not to fund or push forward with on the House side, push forward with the backup for the policy position. And so that on the Senate side got put in the bill, and they went back and forth, one in the conference committee, then they kicked that back in. We also looked at one point in time of only getting 50% or 1 year funding for our IT stuff. And we didn't have a huge request dollar wise, but there was a lot of computers and things like that, software upgrades. And at the end of the day, that all got fully funded also. I'll kind of run down through the items. I think the commission's fairly familiar with it, but I would like to note that while, the topic is the legislative update, it didn't begin this February in the legislature. It really is a process that starts in May of the year. And so the next meeting we have, we're going to start the legislative process again because the budget requests. And I think it was pointed out a number of times in various committees and then speaking points out on the floor that this is probably the most vetted budget that the legislature will see, in the fact that it starts with the department recommendations to the commission, 2 or 3 commission meetings. Again, we'll start talking about what does the budget look like in May, bring you kind of a 90% or so complete budget in June to talk about, and then in July you vote on the budget. That then coincides with the August and October meetings for the select committee, because one of their tasks is to come up with a budget bill, and they take your budget and start working off of that. And again, we'll brief them in August, and then they'll finalize that bill in October. And then we go to joint appropriations before the legislature ever starts. So it isn't like some bills in the legislature that, a bill gets filed, never has been seen before the legislature starts. There's lots of input from lots of people and a lot of time to vet out this whole process. And I think that really helps the last couple of years in our success in funding. So since I've come back as director, we've got somewhere in the 900, I don't know if it was 60 million, but 900 and some million plus in new funding in just the last couple of years. So I think all in all, we've been really successful. And again, I thank the legislature for their actions, but it's really based upon the support for the work that you guys kind of kick this thing off doing, in the way you vet it, and then that gets taken to the select committee. And your attendance, I think, doesn't go unnoticed at the select committee meetings, as commissioners show up to that when we're talking about those budgets in those 2 different meetings that we have with them. So again, I'd like to thank you. And again, we got our positions, and I think the bet was that it was like 5% chance, but we were successful on both those. Besides what I'm going to talk about in the school budget, we did get the $750,000 this year that fell out because of some parliamentary procedures actually last year for the statewide 20-year statewide strategic plan for facilities. And so within that statewide plan, the House Bill 86 included that include the school districts as well as state buildings, community colleges, and all that when we're looking at that. So it's all in this 20-year look to try to give, I think, more clarity, be more proactive, and give more information ahead of time for the governor's office and the legislature and you all to see what is needed, both in terms of major maintenance, routine maintenance, and capital construction in the future. And we'll start working on that RFP right away. That funding's available July 1st. what I'd like to do is put that out on the street as soon as we can, to where we can maybe even have both the two positions as well as the RFP for the strategic plan done and people selected prior to July 1st. So when July 1st hits, we just move on and we start and not lose any time in the process for that. So, Mr. Chairman, as far as I'm just going to get kind of the high points here, but component projects, we received about $31.7 million in component projects this year. Again, everything that the commission asked for. There was $80 million in construction projects. Demolition, we had about 2.6 million. Design was 15.7 million. Our standard budget for engineering and tech was 1.9 million for that. And we didn't ask for any additional funding. That's just a standard budget item. The engineering and tech total again 1.922 million. We got the charter lease funding for the charter schools, and I believe that was about 6.3 million. And you'll be hearing more about charter schools because we're hearing there's a couple, 2 or 3 more coming, probably headed our way. So we'll be talking about that, I'm sure, in the budget stuff coming up and more briefings. Charter school contingency fund, which is a new thing. And I think it was really needed because there's so many unknowns as to, again, we just heard about a couple more charter schools that could possibly come online. There's changes based on ADM. There's changes based on them putting more space on buildings. So there's a lot of moving parts in funding those charter schools, and we make that request on a biannual basis. And we're kind of, before we'd have been kind of stuck where we were at. So they actually, the legislature, we presented, our thoughts on having a contingency fund to help us fund these unknowns that have occurred and are going to occur and only probably exacerbate in the future as more charter schools come on. So they gave us about $1.8 million there, a little under that. They funded the 3 modulars for Laramie 1 at $52,000. Major maintenance. They gave us the money that did not go through again because the budget got killed last year. So the ask that we had for last year's update on major maintenance outside the standard, and then they gave us that was 1.1 million, and that will be available immediately. We'll be running that money out in the fourth quarter for the districts, and then the major maintenance standard budget was $236.7 million there. I want to comment on the major maintenance a little bit in the fact that we've certainly, I think, provided information on the need and the relevance of major maintenance on maintaining our school buildings and our state buildings. And one of the things that I think it's kind of built into their thinking as a legislature as a whole now, that we need to fund at least major maintenance at a higher level. So, because if you recall, Mr. Chairman, last year we got the increase from the 2% to the 2.5. We did get the 115 to 135 for the single year. It died this year, but the select committee, and that'll be a little bit more of a discussion in a minute, is going to take that up next year's reoccurring bill. But this 236 million, both on the state side now and on the school side, that's going to be quote unquote our standard budget. And so we don't have to necessarily ask for 236 million. We'll be asking for additional money should there be an increase, but we've got this money in the standard. So why is that important? Well, from just a philosophical standpoint, from a how do we do business standpoint in the legislature, they get the standard budget. It's a standard budget in the budget year. So they start off with, here's what the state standard budget is. And what really is a focus for them is increases or exception requests. We're always, both in the general budget and the budget session, asked for agencies to submit exception requests. That's where the scrutiny really comes in hard, is on these exception requests. So as you can see from last year, our exception request was only 1.1 million, not 236. So this year we got 237.8 million. That's the standard budget now. So it could be kind of like I mentioned earlier on the planning. That would be in the budget to the governor, but we wouldn't go in and have to explain. We just say, well, that's the standard. We wouldn't have to explain it. We wouldn't have to go into JAC and explain it. It's just the standard. That doesn't mean they can't cut it and they won't review it, but in the overall ranking of food fights in money for the budget, it's kind of built into the cake, I guess, is what you'd say. And so I think that's very important to recognize that. And the reason I want to bring that up is the legislature is aware of and focused on major maintenance to the point that in the budget bill, they normally would not combine major maintenance with the CapCon budget, but they did this year. Now, some years they don't pull the CapCon out. They leave it in the budget, Senate File 1, Senate File 2, or House Bill 2 or 1. They'll leave it in those bills, but they pulled it out this year and they created separate bills for both the state and the school side. And the comments in the joint appropriation and pulling that out of the budget was that we're going to include the major maintenance funding into those because we think the bill with the CapCon and all this other stuff stands a better chance of passing if major maintenance is in there. Because again, they have this overall view of the priority of doing major maintenance on buildings, and that would help pass. And if you had listened on the arguments on the Senate side, that actually was kind of said there. This is really we can't let this bill die because we'll lose the major maintenance. Not that we can't let it die because we don't want to lose construction. We don't want to lose charge. No, we don't want to lose major maintenance. So we got to pass the bill. So I think we're in a really good place there. I think commission department's done a good job of the education of the legislature on that. So again, very pleased with the outcome of that. The operations budgets, various items in there. So this is the finance, the two policy positions. That was about $1.4 million. That included the computers and our request for travel and different things that kind of all beefed up into that. Safety and security funding, 10 million. So this is something that at the next meeting you're going to hear more about because we need your input in this. The legislation on the 10 million for the security funding requires that the commission set up a methodology and a prioritization of funding the safety projects. And that you approve every one of those projects, not the group of 10 million. The commission approves every one of those projects. So we need to get started on that. And the reason I think there's some urgency to do that, not only is it safety money, and so there's an urgency just under the tone of safety and security, but I want to come to the commission this year and say, hey, we got some beyond this 10 million, we have additional. When we went back out to the districts, there was about $36 million in their number one, number two priorities. So we know there's a need out there beyond the 10 million. And so again, I think we need to take this on. And when I talk about select committee, that's a topic in the select committee stuff. And so again, so I want to be able to tell the select committee, tell the legislature, we've started a process for profiling these projects. We're moving forward with projects. Commission's adopting projects. And here's our next ask for that, because I think they're going to probably say, okay, the next ask is going to be under the same way of delegating that money out to the districts. Next item, standard budget items. We had on the operations division, so our salaries, all that kind of stuff. We had about 7.4 million in there, and that includes, hiring consultants, all those different kind of things that we do on that end. And then the school division operations budget, again, another total there of of 2.5 million. So when it's all said, well, and unanticipated, and I'm going to back up on this a little bit. So we got 7.6 million in unanticipated. Those unanticipated is that 6% that we put towards demo, design, construction. There is, however, in that 10 million, there's the 6% unanticipated in the 10 million. So 600,000 of that is built into that particular item, and it's not down in the 7.6 million. And I know when I'm going to task it to Shelby because she's memorized all this stuff because she told me she read it yesterday. The nuances of putting that out is that typically, if you have construction money or if you look at our components, those projects would, if we have excess money, you know, we have 3 extra projects, we can roll that down. We can't on the safety stuff, the way we're reading it. Now we're going to have to get with our AG friends over here and talk about it a little more, but it looks like if the district comes in and you approve a project for 500,000 and it comes out at 498, they get 498, that $2,000 can't go down to hit another project down the list. It reverts back. So we're going to have to really focus on the right costing for these projects. And again, the unanticipated is built into the 10. So how's that going to look? A lot of moving parts that we got to get started on that dialogue, and we'll come prepared to offer you some thoughts and whatever. Again, if you attended the facility managers meeting today, we asked them that we'll be reaching out and getting some thoughts on how to prioritize and do some of that stuff on those projects also. So the total that we got this year was 407 million and $3,000 and $3,070. So again, $407 million. I think in a budget year request, we fared fairly well. The department overall, we were in the we had about 900, and most of our staff is kind of exception requests. Think about it, the vast majority of it. And so when, again, it's that stuff that's under scrutiny, we ended up at the department as a whole in that $900 million mark is what we received this year. So I think, again, all in all, a pretty successful session, but it starts in May. So it's weird that we've actually been kicking around projects while the legislature was going this year, trying to figure out what we would have asked for next year. So it's a never-ending process to get started. And again,
On the
your help.
charter school thing you mentioned, that there looks like there's a lot of activity there. And there's only 1.2 million you said in there.
No, that's an account that we can use. There's 1.7. Almost 1.8, but that's an account that we can use to get the right amount of money going out to where it needs to be. So we budget right now, not knowing that. Well,
what happens to the child? Any other?
It's right in the agreements with the charter schools. We don't have enough money that's funded. That's all we got. We're under, the state's under no obligation to pay it.
And they all know that.
Yeah, they know that. That's in their agreements to do that. And so, you know, we don't know how many new charter schools are coming up.
Yeah.
And so if we get 2 more, that 1.792 million was kind of based on the average of what we see for adding 2 more charter schools. But then beyond that, there's always these changes in ADM and everything else. What's that?
Didn't we write a check for $1.8 million for one charter school last year?
It could have been, yes. Yeah.
For a building? Why not, correct?
Is that rent furniture in?
No,
Building.
Okay.
That was their payment.
I don't know.
Can I-
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I help
Kick
you
it.
out with that? So we don't actually, they're leasing the building, they lease that from a third party, they had a third party build it. We pay based on the square footage. Doesn't matter to me if it's a brand new building or they rent something that's 150 years old. I pay on the square footage because there's been a lot of talk in the legislature where we get this shiny new building. We don't care the age of the building. We're worried about the amount of square feet that they're leasing and if it is the right amount for the students. What we do is plug in the number of students that we have into our allowable square foot calculator like we do every other school. And it spits out 10,000 square feet, let's say. If they want to rent something that's 50,000 square feet, that's fine. They are welcome to do that, but I'm only paying for 10.
if we spit out 10,000 square feet and they can do it and they rent something that's 5,000 square feet and that fits their needs, I pay for 5,000. We always pay for the lesser than. Does that make sense to everybody? And the church school stuff has gotten complicated. So we also have to plan for, if they're planning to add a grade a year, they start out like K through 6 and the next year they'll be through 7, and because those kids keep advancing. So we, in addition to what they actually have, we have to look at what they're going to have when we're doing our budgets, like those 2 years that they're going to be advancing their budgets. They're going to have more grades, so then we have to pack in more kids, so we have enough money to cover it when those kids are going there. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely.
Okay, so that's kind of how it's a very complex issue. And they always come up with weird things that we haven't thought of before, and Shelby and I have to come get together and figure out how to deal with it. So we're doing the best we can. It's a very dynamic environment. If there's any questions, let us know.
Yeah, that money does not revert. So after the biennium, so we kind of put it after the land opportunity fund and some of that.
We don't come up and have to take money out of the other budgets.
No, that's what's available under that funding. So, and there's nothing says we can't, if say we thought maybe 2 charter schools were coming on this year and there's 4 coming on this year, we have time to go back and ask the legislature to put some more money into that account. So just like we do the land opportunity, that's really where these folks come up with the idea, geez, let's set up an account like the existing account that we have on land opportunity where it doesn't revert back, but it's for those unforeseen things that come up. And so we can always go back each year and ask for replenishment, or here's what we see what's going on. So
Can I add a little bit?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, just one more thing to tack on to what Laura said. We actually do a facility plan meeting with those charter schools, just like we do with the districts. Obviously, the content's somewhat different, but a lot of them are putting on additions. So we try to get at least rough numbers of what those additions are going to be, so that when Laura's budgeting, we're budgeting for that extra square footage. We won't pay for anything until they get certificate of occupancy, but we do plan for that.
Right.
And I guess WDE probably knows exactly what they have now, but last I heard last week, they were anticipating 3 applications for this year. So.
Mr. Chairman, we ended up with just 1 application.
Really?
Yeah, and the window closed yesterday.
Oh,
cool.
well, that's a surprise.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, then final, unless there's any questions on the budget, talk about the select committee, hot off the press. So they met this morning. The legislature, various committees are meeting with the management council. And so we got an update this morning, actually, even after I was talking with the facility managers earlier. So the first meeting is going to be May 19th in Casper. And we've scheduled the commission meeting on the 20th and 21st in Casper. They moved it right up. That we gave LSOR meeting dates ahead of time for commission, and then they try to give us some grace period in and around. But so they moved theirs up to the 19th. They're having it in Casper. Luckily, we had our May meeting was to be determined, so we just said, okay, we're going to have it right there so we can be in the same town, same thing, go from one meeting to the next. Then August 25th. And that's to be determined. And what they're looking at there is they're thinking they'd like to go tour a school or a school district as part of their meeting, like they did in Jackson last year. And so they're going to do some thinking and searching on maybe a school district. So I don't know where that one's at yet, but that's kind of their plan, is to combine their meeting with maybe a half a day before is what they did up in Jackson and tour district. August 25th. And then October 20th is their final meeting. So that's when they'll be, making sure they got all the T's crossed on bills they want to do and the budget ask and all of that. And that's going to be in Cheyenne on the 20th. Now, interim topics, again, this was on the release that came out. Their number one is statutory responsibilities for them. What's the statutory responsibilities that they're obligated to look at and do? And they don't have any hours, quote unquote, set for that. So I think it's they kind of done a little bit of that the last 2 years because they've had new members on the committee, and it's, I think, trying to get themselves up. So a lot of that, I think, will be handled to some degree by LSO staff themselves. They might want us to provide information and tag on, but it's generally a Tanya and Matt show on those. And then the second priority is respond to court decisions. So they're anticipating that the Supreme Court will make a decision sometime, and depending on what the ruling is on the Supreme Court decision, if they have to do any legislation or whatever, uh, you know, then they'll start working on that. They have 10 hours of time set up for that. And then they have number 3 priority is enrollment relationships to routine and major maintenance. And so that one, again, I think ties into that discussion on enhanced building space, excess building space, ADM, how, what happens with ADM is because one of the things we talked to them about last year, and they talked in the interim committee topic discussion was, well, how are we handling these downward trend? What keeps happening if we got a downward trend for the next 20 years in our schools? And then it's all based on major maintenance. And I think, Trent, you could weigh in on this, but I think the routine maintenance is also predicated on ADM. If it keeps going down, and we got all these schools built, how are we going to maintain them and take care of them properly? So they want to take a look at that. They have 4 hours set up for that. And then infrastructure needs. Again, I think that's dealing with kind of budget type of issues. We're going to be presenting a couple times budget. I do anticipate that we'll also be talking to them about, some of the rulemaking stuff that goes along with adequacy standards. We're required to brief them as we come through that and before we get to the end. So I think that that will be probably parsed into some of that.
Isn't that the infrastructure?
Yeah, it's all in there. And so then the other is we asked for 2 items. The department went in the interim committee requests. And one of the things that we're seeing on our infrastructure costs, and this has come up when I was previously director, it came up when I came back the first year, it came up last year. Why does it cost so damn much to build these schools? Why are they so expensive? And, some of the things that we're seeing, why they're so darn expensive, is because, we can give, and we did at that meeting, that briefing, 2 or 3 examples of schools that we're currently starting construction design on, and then things are cropping up in that when we get to that process that weren't anticipated in the cost, because the local communities are saying, oh, well, we need you to make sure you plant this many trees. We want this. We want stoplights done. We want paving. We want a roundabout here. We want stoplights there. We got to upsize the water line. All the drainage for that whole big area happens to come across and be on your property. And so figure out what you're going to do with all this drainage for a larger subdivision area and things like that. And then, million here, million there, 5 million here, 5 million there. Pretty soon it's a lot of money. And so that's one of the things that adds into that. So when Utah came out and visited our department, state of Utah, before they came out, they sent us a bunch of things that I don't know if they're actually their statutes or proposed statutes they were looking at from the Utah, kind of my counterparts in Utah. And so they kind of limit what the locals can do to add on to the project, because I think just like us to some degree, the state's seen as the deep pocket, and how can they maximize the opportunity to the locals when we're building a school somewhere. The other thing that we've seen is, and this will be more for future land development for schools rather than the land that they currently own. But where do we seem to end up with the land? We get a good deal on land that the school districts have. The subdivisions will set up stuff, but it ain't the best spot in the subdivision. And it ain't, we got the deal on it because it's in the swamp that nobody else wants to build on, or it's in a hole, or it's on top of the mountain and we got to spend $2 million grading to get the building there. So is it really the best cost Another thing that Utah does is that they involve on the front end of that local involvement with the communities, with the city, the county, whatever, with the district and the state to go in and assess that. So you up front know that, oh, we got to have a 2 mile water line. We got to run to this site and we got to do this. So, and that may be the best site. And that might be what you have to do when you do your due diligence, looking at options for sites. But at least we know on the front end that we're going to have a couple $1 million water line that we need to put into the budget when we make the budget request. Sometimes a lot of these things come in after the fact, and then we're struggling because if we hold up the project, then we got to go through the whole legislative thing to get another 2 million, 5 million, delay the project a year. Well, a year on a $50 million project and 6% inflation is another 5 million you got to get and all that kind of stuff. So what we were thinking is let's try and make this a more proactive activity for this land development. And when we go into these design thoughts for projects to involve the local communities. I'm not trying to say, no, we're the big boys on the block and we don't want to participate. You guys get out of our business. We're going to do what we want. That's not what my intent is. My intent is let's be more proactive on the front end and figure out what the true costs are. Because again, if we got parcel A and it's $5 million more, but all the utilities are on there versus parcel B that's in a hole and has no utilities and we got to run it. Really, the more expensive one is the cheaper one in the long run. And it's maybe a couple of years out for some of this stuff. So let's go ahead and try and be more proactive on that. So that's another thing that they want to look at. And so it kind of falls under a statutory type of requirements that were up above under that first bullet item also. So with Mr. Chairman, any questions?
Any
Happy to
questions?
answer. If not,
Any questions? Any questions? Well, thank you very much.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now we'll move to our information items. It'll be tab A. Laramie County School District number 1, repurpose of Miller 4 to 6. Administrator Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're gonna go back and talk a little bit about that Laramie 1 elementary school in Mercer again, and wanted to update you on Miller Elementary School. It is one of those that was slated to go offline. And so the district has been working on the best use of that facility. So we received a letter from them in November talking about their intent to repurpose Miller Elementary School. That facility was built in 1965, located at 3501 Evans Avenue, which is not very far from where Story Gym is and their administrative building. So it's very close there, across Pershing, which is a pretty major thoroughfare, but it's relatively close to Story Gym. The facility's on 8 acres and has a gross square footage of 12,777 square feet. The FCI score on that facility in 2031 is 0.296. Again, this was one that was determined to come offline. They did close that during the 25-26 school year. And those students have been relocated to other elementary schools in the district. Laramie County School District 1 Board of Trustees looked at the potential for that facility. They looked at mothballing it. They looked at repurposing it, selling it, and or demolishing it as options for the use of it. I have gone through here. There's actually a presentation in your packet that goes through each of those options. I kind of captured the advantages and disadvantages of the retain that site and repurpose that building, and you can see where the advantages really outweigh the disadvantages. A lot of that based on location, but just the different uses that they have at that facility due to the site size and some of those sorts of things. So the building will be used, repurposed for the use of support services and equipment storage. The status of the building will be surplus. And because the district has chose to retain that facility, it is above their allowable square footage. So it will not generate major maintenance funding. However, they will be able to spend 10% major maintenance, keeping that building, keeping it up. So Laramie County School District #1 Board of Trustees voted to retain the Miller Elementary School facility on November 18th of 2025. Next page just shows you a picture of the front of that facility. In the bottom one, then you can see where the red teardrop is there. That is where the Miller School is located. And then if you look down below where you see the green circle, that's actually where Story Gym and the district admin building is located. So I just thought it was important because that was one of the buildings that was to come offline in that Laramie 1 Mercer that was completed in November of 24, to let the commission know what the district had decided to do with the Miller Elementary School. So with that, I'd take any questions.
Any questions?
And Mr. Knapp is in attendance too, if you've got questions for Andy.
Are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, let's move on to tab B then. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, the next information item is in regards to the Woods Learning Center in the Trona County School District. We received a letter from that district on February 10th, disclosing their intent to close that school for now, and relocate the students to other schools within the district. The projected facility condition score, index score for Woods Learning Center in 2031 is a 0.276. The Woods Learning Center was established in 1972, and it has an enrollment currently of 170 students, putting it at a capacity of 108.86%. And the gross square footage of that building is 26,055 square feet. The next bullet point is a little bit tricky, so we might have to have a little bit of discussion about that, because in our system, we recognize the configuration based on the oldest grade that's within that school. So in town, in Casper, they've got 6 different middle schools. 2 of those are K-8s. One of them is a 6-8, or 3 of them are 6-8s, and one is a 6-9. So in this bullet point, I talk a little bit about the seats that are available to the district. And what I'm specifically talking about are the middle school seats that are available when I talk about the 1,018 that are currently available. But since it's a K-8 school, we don't really know how many of those students are K-5 students, which is what their elementary school configuration is, and how many of them are necessarily K-8. We know that there's a total of 170 students in that school. And if all 170 of those students were placed in either the other K-8 or one of the 6-8s or 6-9s, then the statement is correct. They would still have 687 seats available. However, some of those students are probably K-5 students. And within the district, we've got 15 K-5 schools, and there's a total of 859 seats available in those schools. So depending on what that combination is, probably some of those students are going to be going to an elementary school, and some of them are going to be going to other middle schools. But I think the bottom line is that there's a substantial amount of seats in that district that cover it. And I think the intent, based on the letter and the board meeting minutes, is that eventually, once they move their laundry services out of that building, then they want to mothball that building and hold to it for a little while. They do have a declining enrollment, and it projects to decrease by 903 students in the next 3 years. And like I said, they are planning on eventually mothballing that once they can relocate their laundry services. I would say that if you've taken the time or are going to take the time to read through their board meeting minutes, you might notice a discrepancy in the amount of seats that they say are available. And I think it's their prerogative to calculate their seats in a different way than our methodology. When we're determining capacity, we go off of our methodology. And what I told you in regards to the available seats is based on our methodology. The district actually believes they have more seats available to them in that district. And that's got a lot to do with the amount of students that they're putting in a particular classroom and how they're calculating that out. So if you notice that discrepancy, it's not really that there's a disconnect between the state and the district. It's just that we both choose to calculate our capacity in a different way. And with that being said, I'll open it up for any questions you guys.
Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Thank you. The next, go on with item C.
Thank you,
And
Mr. Chairman.
project update.
So what we did this time is just a little bit different than what we presented to you last time. We're not necessarily departing from that previous format, but I don't think the projects move quite fast enough, and I don't want to be cluttering up the packet with a bunch of pictures that you guys have already seen. So probably a couple of times a year, we'll be bringing you a different look at the project update, and we'll be giving you current depictions and current pictures, if it's in construction, of what that project looks like. But for this meeting, since we just did that not too long ago, I think it would be good if we just gave you a small narrative and explained exactly what phase the project was in and what they were working on currently. And so what we've got here is we've got one page with 19 active capital construction projects on it, and a page with 26 component level projects on it. And in the interest of your time, I really hadn't planned on reading all of this information verbatim. I would mention that of the active capital construction projects, we do break out demolition on replacement buildings as a separate project, even if the funding came together. In order for us to track what those demolition and abatement expenses are, and to keep that separate from what our construction costs per square foot are. So when we're reporting to the legislators, they're comparing apples to apples and they understand exactly what the numbers represent. But with that being said, I will go ahead and open up for any questions you may have about either the capital construction projects or the component level projects.
Any questions? Any discussion? Any questions? Any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, we'll go to item D, and this one is part of Mercer study staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to give you an update on where we are at on the Mercers that we now have been working on for the better part of 2 years. Anything that's shown in orange on there is complete. So I'm really just going to kind of focus on the ones highlighted in green and in white to discuss with you. Albany 1, Central Kitchen, that project's moving along well. Our intent is to have that Mercer in place in front of you at the June meeting. We will be doing our Choosing by Advantages meeting on April 21st at the district. Rollins Elementary School K1, that's one that the Board of Trustees concurred unanimously on February 26th. And you will hear a presentation on that Mercer for your consideration here in just a little bit. Move on down to the next green labeled one, Conestoga Elementary. We've got working on a revised draft that I'm anticipating to get this week. So we're moving along on that one. Anticipate we should have that done in another month or two. Sheridan 2 Junior High School. I have visited with Mr. Tanner on that. We have started taking a look at what's happened with enrollments there since we kicked that off. It has been almost 2 years, so we want to take a look at what's happened with enrollment. We'll pull back out that original draft we did and be going to work on that here fairly quickly. Should have that one completed by the fall. Niobrara, number 1, Lusk Elementary School. Also working on that one with MGT. Again, looking at pretty much that same time frame. We should have that one completed yet this fall. Wheatland Bus Garage, a non-educational building. The Board of Trustees concurred with that most cost-effective remedy recommendation on the 9th of March. And we will have that one here to present to you here in just a little bit too for your consideration. Both the Goshen, number 1, Southeast Elementary, Middle School, High School, that is a condition. Mercer and the Laramie Pine Bluffs Elementary, that is a capacity. Mercer Plan is working on both of those steadily right now. So those are progressing. Anticipate we'll see those midsummer to fall. Niobrara County High School VOAG, that is under analysis. I anticipate that Plan 1 will have that one to us, and hoping that we are before the commission in May with a recommendation on that particular study. Frontier Academy is the alternative school in Fremont 25 in Riverton. We should have that one before you in the June meeting. Wheatland Junior High School, non-educational. We have done the kickoff and the site visit. I anticipate this one to be completed by fall. This one does have some funding available already for demolition. So we're just in there reviewing that and looking at the demolition options there for the district. And then the next one is the Converse number 1, Douglas Intermediate Elementary School. We toured that. We did the kickoff last week or the week before, and we did our site visit this morning. So we're anticipating that we should be able to at least have a conservative budget figure by July, but we should have that one completed by the fall. We would like to be sure that we can get a budget request in for this upcoming supplemental budget session. That gives you an update on the current Mercers that we have moving. We're pretty busy right now. We got a lot of moving parts and pieces at this time. So with that, I take any questions.
Any questions? Any questions? Thank you very much. We will now move into 2 action items today. First one is the Mercer Plat, Bus Maintenance Garage, Administrator Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Travis, is Rob Tanner online?
Yes, he is.
All right, thank you. All right, I will kick it off and then I will turn it over to Mr. Tanner with MGT. You do have the presentation that he will be giving today in your packet. You also have the final copy of the most cost-effective remedy study in your packet. I'd ask that you just ask questions as we go. If you have any questions, and unfortunately, Superintendent Wagle is unable to be with us this afternoon. And did James O'Toole, is he online?
Not yet.
Okay, so James O'Toole with the district also has not made it online. So with that, 2023, the Wheatland Bus Maintenance Garage had a condition score of 64.6%, estimated out in 2028. So that was the trigger for this particular most cost-effective remedy study. That Wheatland Bus Maintenance Garage was built in 1981, has 6,474 gross square feet. And also, in addition to that, it has a 1,600 square foot modular office facility. The commission did tour this facility last fall. So you have been here and seen this particular location. In 2024, the legislature did appropriate funds for design and construction of this facility. So we do have money available. As soon as we've determined the most cost-effective remedy, we can move forward with this project. The legislation does state that the commission will ensure adequate, efficient, and the most cost-effective school buildings and facilities as they consider this particular facility. In July of 2024, the SCD entered into an agreement with MGT to perform the most cost-effective remedy study. They were engaged to guide and facilitate the process, make sure we had a good collaborative working agreement and working environment between the district and the state and the consultant, perform the analysis and the evaluation of potential remedies for this facility, and provide the final report. The objective of the study was to consider potential remedies to resolve the identified need. We looked at three things. We want to be sure we address that need. We want to provide a sustainable long-term solution for the district. And we want to balance the benefits, costs, and efficiency and the educational outcomes. With that, I am going to turn it over to Mr. Tanner to present the Mercer. That presentation can be found on page 36 in your pack. So with that, Rob, you got the floor.
Excellent. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. I guess I'll just follow along. I will try not to read it to you right off slide. I hate it when people do that to me, but as you know, as Shelby said, it was triggered by a condition. The facility does have both a maintenance garage and kind of an admin slash bus driver support. It's I want to call it like a portable building, but it has been put onto a little bit of a foundation. So it has those two different buildings on it. The report is broken down like a typical report with an introduction, a methodology, a review of the existing conditions, and that was part of that was looking through those observations from the 2023 FCI report. And then some remedy options on, what some potential most cost-effective things to drive down that FCI score as priorities. The facility condition index you've probably heard many times, is just the cost of the renovation of a building divided by the overall replacement value. And again, is triggered by that 0.3 or that 30% mark. When we went back and looked through and redeveloped all of the different some of the things, and we'll talk about in the next couple of slides, some that might be considered maintenance items. There were a couple of items that were also had been addressed since that 2023 items. We went back and redid the facility condition index so that we had a current look at what that was. And moving on to slide 6, maintenance renewal items, like I was talking about. Most of these things is you'll see listed were like drinking fountains, some vinyl flooring, ceiling finishes. All these are generally lower cost items that can be fixed through major maintenance funds. They are only replaced when necessary, so they're not big HVAC items, roof items that you necessarily have to plan out years in advance. And like I said, some of those examples would be plumbing fixtures, water fountains, ceiling tiles, sinks, that types of thing. And also painting for walls, or also wall finishes, especially in a maintenance facility, are considered maintenance items. So we did take those out of that FCI computation. Additionally, one of the things that was on the observation list was the overhead doors in front. Those had been remedied before the Mercer, but after the observation, the original FCI observation. So we removed those from the FCI calculation as well.
Rob,
yes.
Can we just take a break and either you put the presentation up or
Yep.
Travis?
No, I'm sorry. I think I had the wrong.
I can share it.
Yeah, if you'd share it, that might be helpful.
Absolutely. It says I can't share it.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
that other one you were bringing up
I've
that
got
just
the
had
right one. Yeah,
MGT.
sorry about that. I
That's
pulled up
okay.
The Apple. There we go. Is that
There
the
we
right
go.
stuff, Brad?
That was the maintenance items I was talking about. Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you, Travis.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
If you want to go, if you want to look at that for a second, like I said, that's just a list of all those items I was talking about, and that's straight off of that 2023 observation list. Next slide. And that was the overhead door piece. Again, these are just snippets straight out of the report, but that was also a component that we took out of that FCI calculation. Next. And then these are the remaining or anything else that we noticed that while we're there through conversations with the district and issues that they might be having. As you can see, the biggest number item on there is the parking lot. The parking lot is kind of a Frankenstein parking lot. It's been put together, multiple years where it's been patched and pieced together. Part of it is asphalt, part of it is gravel and rock and dirt. And there are some substructure issues where there's some settling that is causing spalling and other deformities in the asphalt, and it's fairly well cracked in a lot of places all over the parking lot. And then, like I said, it is, I think about 30% of it is not asphalt. And so that's the biggest considerable expense. We did notice, and it was pointed out to us about there's the building is the maintenance, the bus maintenance part of it is a tilt up um, uh, precast building, so precast slabs. They just put together, tilt them up. It has some cracking in. I would call it surface cracking. It's not. I don't think there's a concern for structural issues, but we did feel like that it would be good to patch the larger pieces and seal the outside of the building so that there isn't an issue going forward. And that was something that was new, not on the original observation list. Also, the parking lot gate is very large. It's on hinges. And so the hinges can't take the weight, and so it ends up dragging the ground. It's very hard for them to, for one person to open and close. And there's also, you've been there, it's kind of that high plains area. There's no wind breaks, and so on really windy days, that gate becomes unmanageable for opening and closing. So you'll see in the recommendations, one of the issues is that we should probably put a rolling gate in so that it rolls left and right instead of hinging like a door. Think of a barn door in your house instead of a hinged door. Window replacement. The windows are, I would say, original to the building. Very old, not inefficient. The bus office roof is getting really close. You see 2029 there to end of its life expectancy. The interior lighting inside of it, they work. They're dim yellowed lights. Um, wouldn't consider them, living more than 5 or 6 more years. Uh, the garage interior lights, again, they all work. None of them are efficient LED lights. And then the rest of them are, planning purposes. As you can see, they're a little bit further out, a decade or more. Garage roof, site exterior lighting, the electrical system, plumbing system, the site fences, the garage heating, all of those are based off on life cycle issues. Next slide, please. And so taken everything to account, we went back and adjusted the FCI again to make sure that what we were looking at, where we're going to be. We feel like we're currently at about 25% of the replacement cost, and that slowly ticks down to 35% over the next 20 years. Next slide. So recommendations being the parking lot obviously is that the big item. Go ahead with that exterior walls because it's going to prevent spending more money later by spending a little money now. Replacing that parking lot gate, replacing the windows, even though that some of those were 4 or 5 years away, since we're there and we're doing all the work, we also are recommending going ahead and replacing the bus office garage, the lighting in the bus office, as well as the lighting in the garage itself. Next slide. So tabbing all that up together, considering contingency costs and planning and designing, $815,000 and some change to do that work. And then the next slide will show you if you do that work in 2026, 2027, that will move your FCI score out over the next 20 years to below 10%. And next slide is just if you have any questions, and thank you.
Any questions?
Question?
Shelby, was this the one we looked at? Was the roof too small or the length too short for the buses? Or am I getting this?
That would have been Jackson you were thinking of.
I didn't go to Jackson.
That one didn't ring a bell.
I do remember it being tight, but I thought they could get their buses in and out of there and still close the doors.
That would be reminding.
Level. Might be thinking of level.
Okay, if I just remembered one of sure of us.
Further questions?
Chairman,
Yes.
on the FCI, did you include the maintenance items that were from 2029 on the LED lighting and stuff like that? It looks like that was kind of truncated off there and sort of disappeared in the numbers there. I don't know. Matters.
Well, we figured it both ways. So we figured it if with all of those deficiencies not being done, that was where we started out at 25%. And then we refigured it if we did all the recommended items. And that's where you see after 2026, after that work was done, it goes down to zero through, I want to say 2032 or something like that. And it slowly starts to tick back up to like 8.7 after 20 years.
So that should be the higher number that's over here under Exhibit 4.1. 79.
That's if we
Yes.
didn't do anything, and then Exhibit 4.2 shows you what those numbers now look like once we do the recommended work.
Correct.
So 4.1's without any work being performed, and then 4.2 is with the recommended work being performed.
I just was trying to match the 637.5. There were additional items in the 4.1. Doesn't matter a lot.
Mr. Chairman, I think they, in the presentation, they went well beyond, and actually a couple of the items, the LED lighting, those were kind of beyond what we would normally look at, but since they're coming up, we're going to go ahead and do those. So they were kind of a little bit of an outside the exception of what we would normally do. And so, on page 46 of 154, that's where the 697, 913, and then with the contingencies, the 815 comes in. So not all of those things that Rob talked about were included, but some of them were beyond the stuff we'd normally look at in the 5-year look there.
Mr. Chairman, if you look at page 57, there's a breakdown, another breakdown of items and costs. And you can just kind of follow down and see where those numbers are going. On page 46.
Yeah, I was just totaling this stuff up. That was
Yeah.
a calculation. Semantics probably.
I think if you go look at that page 57, you'll see where we kind of drew the line there, 2032.
Yep.
And, there were quite a few projects coming in till 2032, and then there's a gap of 6 years before really that garage roof comes in. And so that's kind of where we drew our line, and that buys us that 5 years, but it gets us out 20 years, and we can keep that FCI score down to something that the district should be able to sustainably take care of in the upcoming future. So tried to hit kind of that window, and that's kind of how we've looked at a lot of these component ones.
So makes sense too. Yeah. Okay. Further questions? Further questions?
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and go through the sheet and finish that with you. I am not going to repeat what Mr. Tanner has covered with you. I will start on page 30 with item number 9.
Okay.
At the March 9th, 2026 Platte County School District Number 1 Board of Trustees meeting, the board unanimously voted to concur with MGT's recommendation to perform current and projected deferred maintenance projects as determined in the final report dated March 2026, entitled Most Cost-Effective Remedy Study Wheatland Bus Maintenance Garage Condition. And then that's as shown above. I've got item 9, but that doesn't look quite right. Action items. The commission shall determine whether the adoption of the study recommendation to perform the current and projected deferred maintenance projects is the most cost-effective remedy for the Wheatland Bus Maintenance Garage. Potential results, if we do the adoption of this most cost-effective remedy, it will allow the department in Platte County School District Number 1 to amend their facility plan and put this work in the facility plan and update it. And then we will go to work. We can go ahead and contract right away because the money is available in those 2024 appropriated funds. Any remaining funds we will revert. And this one has quite a lot of additional funding. I'm guessing between 8.5 and 9 million. So we would do like we did with the other 2 projects in that we would revert this back relatively soon. We'll make sure we keep enough money for them to deploy this project fully, but we will revert quite a bit of this money back because it's much more than we need to deploy this remedy. If no Mercer is adopted, then the district and SCD will be unable to move forward until we adopt a different alternative remedy. Are there any other questions before I read the recommendation? Okay, so State Construction Department recommends that the School Facilities Commission adopt as its written most cost-effective remedy determination MGT's final report dated March 2026 titled Most Cost-Effective Remedy Study Wheatland Bus Maintenance Garage Condition. And the remedy to perform current and projected deferred maintenance projects as shown under item 9 above as the most cost-effective remedy. This remedy is in the best financial and educational interests of the state, taking into consideration both the most efficient and cost-effective approach to deliver quality educational services and address building and facility needs and the effects of the proposed activity on the local community. And that item, Mr. Chairman, should be item number 8, where the recommended projects is shown. So should read as shown under item 8 above as the most cost-effective remedy. I apologize for that mistake in that motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the School Facilities Commission approve the State Construction Department's recommended motion. Oh, we do. We gotta wait till tomorrow? Dang.
No, we were going to do it. It's an action item. We were
It's
gonna do it
listed today to do both.
Yeah.
So I'd entertain a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Discussion. Since you're going to vote, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. So moved. Next item is tab 2. Administrator Carlson.
Right.
Mercer, Carbon County School District Number 1, Rollins.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just going to say thank you to Mr. Tanner with MGT for being with us today. So if you want to sign off, certainly welcome to. Thank you. All right, so this will be the most cost-effective remedy for Carbon County School District number 1, the Rollins Elementary School K1. Again, if you'll just ask questions as we go, that would be great. Superintendent Hamill, again, unable to be with us today. I think a lot of our superintendents are very busy working on budgets with the recal changes. So I have talked with a lot of them, and that seems to be where their focus lies right now. I am going to skip over kind of a lot of these parts and pieces that were just identical to what I read over the purpose of a Mercer and some of those sort of things in the first one. The Carbon County School District number 1 Rollins Elementary School is a condition-driven Mercer. They scored a 30.1% in 2028. This facility was constructed in 1982 and has a total educational area of 36,109 square feet. In April of 2024, the department hired FEA to perform a most cost-effective remedy study for the Rollins Elementary School. Again, to guide that process and provide that collaborative working environment. The objective for this particular Mercer, because this is an educational building, I've added 2 items in addition to what we looked at with the condition on the bus maintenance facility. Those 2 additional items are, since we're in there looking at taking care of condition, is to consider the current and future enrollment. So if we see something going to happen in just the next few years, that we can address that and ensure that the facility can deliver the quality educational services. With that, I will introduce and ask Maureen Raskowski to come up here and join and present the study for the Rollins Elementary K1 school.
Thank you, Administrator Carlson. Yes, if you could go to the next slide. So as was mentioned, this was triggered on condition. So the FCI score 30% or 0.3. And we looked at what would be needed to be the most cost-effective remedy. And we looked at adequacy and capacity as well as condition. And we met on site several times with the district and school personnel. We reviewed the condition assessment report and did our own site observations. And there were no significant adequacy concerns and no overcapacity issues identified either. So our analysis focused in on condition. If you can go to the next slide. So that building is 44 years old. So there are key systems and components that are in need of replacement. A lot of this was ongoing replacement needs, some repairs, but some of the key issues they were having, serious issues with their domestic plumbing that has been causing them issues for several years. Issues with the HVAC system, air conditioning and heating, and the controls with that. The exterior walls, doors, and windows were also in some areas of need of replacement, and some interior finish refresh was due. So if you go to the next slide, we really focused on what would take that condition index score down to where it needs to be and what's the prioritization over the next 5 years, and looked at the remaining useful life, looked at issues that were occurring that were troublesome for the districts, and met with them again several times, went on site. And if you go to the next slide, we utilized the condition assessment report data for replacement costs that were identified in that 2023 condition assessment report. We inflated that FCA data cost to 2025, but did not do any inflation beyond that. So just bringing everything to today's numbers. And the costs that we show in here are true replacement costs, and then the State Construction Department adds on the additional soft cost design and things like that. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see kind of what how this shaked out. So through performing these component replacements and some repairs, the most cost-effective remedy is to do those replacements, and you can see the list here of the components and that were identified to do that through the next 5 years. Some of the major larger cost items here were upgrading the exterior doors, which helped them with some of their security concerns. An interior finish refresh, so some painting, carpeting, things like that. And then a really large one is domestic water plumbing line replacements. Again, that was an ongoing issue that was really troublesome for them and in need of repair pretty quickly. You'll see some other items on there that all will help to decrease that FCI. So if you go to the next slide, this is how it breaks down in terms of major systems and the years as what needs to be done. And you can see the projected 5-year FCI in the bottom there as well. So this most cost-effective remedy of doing building system and component repair replacement items comes to about 1.9 million in the true replacement costs. And that will keep their FCI below the trigger condition for at a minimum 5 years, but also many years into the future. Much like the other one, sort of setting them up to the point where major maintenance funding should be able to keep things going as needed. So with that, I will take any questions.
Any questions?
Your B20 exterior enclosure, is that a security vestibule?
It was more the exterior doors. They were having issues with exterior doors in the classrooms. And so being able to upgrade those so that they could lock appropriately.
Other questions? Other questions? Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I will start on page 62. I just bring that one up so you can kind of see what the enrollment is looking like there. Going forward with that Rollins Elementary K1 school, so where we don't anticipate a capacity need in the near future. The existing facility design capacity of 242 students. There are 20 seats available. So we just didn't feel that that would have an influence on our decision on this remedy to look at capacity need. I am going to head back over to item 7 at the bottom of that page. The FEA did consider the 23 facility condition assessment. They refined that based on their experience and feedback from the district. And then FEA considers the data against the backdrop. And I've listed the items that they use there to consider how they move forward with their projects. The first being prioritization or looking at life safety and security type of projects. They look at useful service life. They look at non-degrading systems like systems in a school that you shouldn't have to take care of, like exterior brick or concrete elements like stairs or those types of things. Projects across multiple systems. When you work on one system, it often will impact other systems. And then component versus system replacements. And then you'll see there that same table that we just looked at with their recommendations for the next 5 years. That work is completed. The FCI will be below 0.3 through 2036. At the February 26, 2026 Carbon County School District number 1 Board of Trustees meeting, the board unanimously voted to concur with the remedy system and component repair and replacement as the most cost-effective remedy for the Rollins Elementary School K1. Action item is the commission to determine whether the adoption of the study is the most cost-effective remedy for the Rollins Elementary School. Potential results: adoption of the MRSA will allow it to be incorporated into Carbon County School District 1's facility plan and the SCD and the SFC to pursue a supplemental budget request during the 2027 legislative session. This project would qualify for the 95 million. It's not currently listed in our 95 million project list, but it would be one that would qualify. So certainly as we move forward with some of these other Mercers that are coming out, it'll be something we consider through this coming summer. If no Mercer is adopted, we'll be unable to move forward until the SFC adopts an alternative remedy. Any questions before I read the recommendation for you?
Any questions? Any questions?
Okay. The State Construction Department recommends that the School Facilities Commission adopt as its written most cost-effective remedy determination the FEA study titled Most Cost-Effective Remedy Study for Rollins Elementary School K1 Campus Building dated February 10, 2026, and System and Component Repair and Replacement as the most cost-effective remedy. This remedy is in the best financial and educational interests of the state, taking into consideration both the most efficient and cost-effective approach to delivering quality educational services and addressing building and facility needs and the effects of the proposed activity on the local community.
I would entertain a motion to approve or disapprove.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, make the motion to approve the Mercer.
Need a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Discussion. Since you're ready to vote, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. So moved. Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, just an addenda, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. I know, we met with the district, did it by Zoom. I think it was at December, we did the tour.
Mhm.
They put a lot of money, I think, into the roof last year, but I think Carbon won on those enrollment figures
Wow.
where they're coming down. I mean, their idea, Mr. Hamill's idea was if they could move into the 2-5 building and reconfigure with the middle school. But the money just wasn't there. It was too costly to do that. But I think that would be something that we're seeing across the state as these
Yeah, I was looking at those enrollment of 70 kids almost. You know, I think
K1
it was-
numbers continue
Yeah.
to decline.
Great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. We did visit a lot about that, and this is one that it sits kind of on the bubble where any one of two things could happen that could make consolidation look pretty good there. If they were to, K1 was to start to grow, they got 20 seats left pretty quickly. If it were to take off and grow, we might have a capacity issue there. If it continues to decline and the 2-5 enrollment continues to decline, it might not be that long before consolidating that into one school makes some sense, but it didn't make sense right now. The addition would need to be too big. We wouldn't want to overbuild it, and we really couldn't come in and say it was the most cost effective when they were able to deliver the educational programming in that K1. But it's something we'll certainly keep our eye on because the day may come when that makes some sense.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think one of the things that we're seeing kind of as a trend, we've got some of these Mercers where we're sitting right on a bubble on what's going to happen with trends, those sort of things, this consolidation in some cases make an adjustment. And so the good thing I think about the thoroughness of the Mercers that are being completed right now, we have that documented. So when that happens, I think it's really dusting something off and doing it maybe even in-house to adjust the Mercer because we've got all the background data. Like Shelby said, if we move this way or that way, we can react to that fairly quickly now on not only this project, but there's a couple others that are very similar. And the districts have asked us, to make sure that we keep that Mercer and that data available so that when we make those changes, we had that same discussion with Teton last year, where, we agreed to kind of disagree on what those population trends were going to look like. But we have the ability to move to Plan B and have the time to do it should they see the population trends go up more in the favor of what they were proposing versus what our consultant looked at. So I think when we're going through, I guess I need to commend our consultants in the fact that they're not tunnel vision on this is the only way to do some of this stuff, but looking at all the options and keeping those open, not only for today, but maybe 4 years, 5 years down the road when something changes. We don't have to go out and totally redo the thing. We've got some options to start from that on. So
I think, Mr. Chairman, the other one that's a good example of that is the Laramie One Elementary School. And I think you'll remember out there, we said, well, here in it's like 2028, 29, we put in the Mercer, a new Saddle Ridge 2. But if they continue to decline like they are, that might be an addition to Saddle Ridge 1. You know, we looked at both those options as we went through there. And so, you know, we've got a number of those. It would be really easy to just come in as we see what kind of happens over the next few years and amend those pretty quickly if we see the need to do.
Speaking of Laramie One, now that things have squared around, we're off and running on ARP.
Yeah, I believe they're planning to let that this month, but
yeah,
I think our experts are sitting behind me, so.
Yeah, we're looking pretty good. We're middle of process on those to 100%. Couple last little things, gathering some numbers, but everything's looked pretty good. Actually, on both their elements.
For demolition and everything, and
We got the demolition money, yes.
and Mr. Chairman, in the budget request this year, there was a few items that the money was available immediately, and so the demo for ARP is available when the governor signed it. So the money is there. And again, to Laura and her staff, JJ, they've immediately gone out even as this stuff was kind of being processed and worked with the state auditor's office to get this stuff put into the queue so we can make that money available immediately. So there was things that as of March 15th, we had the money sitting in the bank that we can start moving on some of this stuff. What's that?
take care of those kiddos.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I did visit with Mr. Knapp, kind of the lunch break. And so I think he was saying May 6th or 9th, going out for bid or, right? They plan to put that on soon.
I'm not sure of the exact date. I know we're only a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, I was very surprised. And then, I think just a few months later, going out for the 5-6 also. So those are both moving along very quickly, to get those projects out and going. So, yeah.
Good.
One side note, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say that all 4 of our new projects, the 2 big high schools and the 2 elementary schools in Cheyenne, the districts have done a very good job of designing to the budget on those projects.
I think Dan's sitting back there. He, can give an update on kind of Rock Springs real quick. Cause again, pretty aggressive timeline, but this fall going out to bid on that high school. So Dan, if you want to.
We've just got all of our budget numbers in. We had to have them in by the 3rd of this month for the 35% review which is mostly financial. So the last time we looked, we were pretty good sitting budget wise. So we'll keep moving forward and I'm hoping that my timeline is that we go out to bid in October.
In October? When are you gonna have the 65% done?
Well, it depends on how the 35%, initially goes. But I told the architects, I said, send the budget in, but let's just keep working towards the 65%. So I'm hoping that 65% will happen probably the end of June or July.
And Mr. Chairman, I think the only thing that can derail that is depending on what the prairie dogs do to his budget. You've heard that discussion.
He's gonna have to hire Bruce for tell you how to do it. I need to see, he's got a system, so he'll that, or, you could probably hire some outfitters, bring in some guys that like to shoot prairie dogs.
Bruce would be like on Caddyshack.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
So, yeah.
Okay, anything else? Everybody? Anything else? We're adjourned till tomorrow at, I better see what time,
8:30.
8:30. Everybody is here to do. Thank you very much. I think we're gonna have a good day, a productive day. So, great.
Thank you.